Here at the Capitol, we recently passed what's called the House of Origin Cutoff. These cutoffs are internal deadlines that the legislature has set for itself to keep the legislative process moving. All bills must be passed by the chamber where they were proposed by the House of Origin Cutoff, or they are dead for the year. Hi, I'm Representative Roger Goodman of the 45th Legislative District. In this Good Minute, let's talk about some of the major bills that passed the House recently. The first part of this session was historically productive for the House. We passed a record 331 bills and resolutions. 196 were voted out unanimously, and 257 of them got 80 or more votes. So the bulk of the legislation we pass at Olympia is truly bipartisan. More important than the number of bills passed is the positive effect that the legislation will have on the lives of people living in our state. Housing affordability and homelessness are major concerns. So we passed a suite of legislation to increase Washington's housing supply, to provide housing stability through home ownership, and to increase our investments in affordable housing. We especially considered communities that have been historically prevented from owning property due to racially restrictive covenants. Another major concern is the ongoing mental health crisis in our communities. And that's why we passed legislation to improve the state's new 988 crisis hotline and to expand the core of trained crisis response teams who work in conjunction with and as an alternative to law enforcement, assisting people in crisis to get the clinical help they need. Many legislatures across the country have sought to restrict reproductive freedom and women's rights to determine their own health care. By contrast, here in Washington, we are safeguarding the right to choose, and we just approved bills to ensure that your private health data is protected, to shield doctors and clinics from harassing lawsuits, and to protect doctors' credentials from unwarranted discipline for merely doing their job. Gun violence is a plague in our society, and young people are the ones who are suffering the most. It's time that we put our kids before the firearms manufacturers and put sensible restrictions in place to enhance the safety of our communities. We just passed a bill mandating a 10-day waiting period before the delivery of a purchased firearm, as well as requiring completion of basic safety training for firearms. We also banned the sale of assault weapons, too often the weapon of choice for mass shooters, and which are especially dangerous and belong only on the battlefield and not in our communities or on our streets. With the House of Origin Cutoff behind us, we have now returned to our policy committees to hold hearings and vote on bills that came over from the Senate, essentially starting the entire process all over again. Soon we will return to the House floor to vote on Senate bills and then reconcile the differences between the House and Senate bills before we send them to the governor for his signature. It's a very fast-paced process, working 14 to 16-hour days down here at the Capitol to handle the wide range of complex policy issues. But as in past years, we expect to complete our work on time, including passing a balanced budget. That's all for now. Thanks very much for watching, and look for more Good Minutes coming soon.